To oneself, it's a great loss, not to mention for all sentient beings. If one truly has the intention to spread the teachings of Buddha's mother across the world, the Eightfold Path of Buddhism can universally save all sentient beings in the world. Can it be done? It can be done. How? By uniting, it can be done. Our manpower is concentrated and finances concentrated. Once the strength is concentrated, it can be done well. So today everyone is scattered. The strength is divided and this has dissipated. It's very, very unfortunate. Everything we do is greatly restricted. There's not enough manpower, not enough financial resources. Truly the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So the Buddha uses the Bodhisattva guardian of virtue here to place it in the first position, to remind us of this passing. Virtue means having wisdom and virtuous abilities. Nichua. To uphold the true Dharma. Merit protecting Dharma is equal to spreading the Dharma. The latter we can pursue. The work of protecting the Dharma surpasses spreading the Dharma. If you think about it carefully, you'll understand. Talents for spreading the Dharma are not lacking. Whether lay or monastic, the 4 groups of disciples who wish to promote Buddhism. Also, where does the difficulty lie? It lies in whether you have a capable protector of the Dharma. Having just one can accomplish great things. If you have many protectors, then your efforts in spreading the Dharma will surely not be in vain. Bless these great bodhisattvas. Their actions and deeds are not inferior to his. So the merit of protecting the Dharma is truly inconceivable. In this lifetime of mine, I have experienced it personally. I have spoken about it several times here. When I was young, I studied and taught the scriptures under the guidance of the Venerable Master. Post-studies, if I hadn't encountered the late director of Hakodate, who passed away last year. Some of you students have even met him. He visited often. Without his support, we wouldn't have any ability at all. If there were no such protector, then there would be only 2 paths left. One is to go and beg for alms. If unwilling to beg for alms, then return to lay life. Just these 2 paths, with no other options. Encountering such a protector, he had a great resolve. He tried every possible way. He arranged for venues, rented places, and borrowed spaces. Allowing me every week to lecture for 30 years without interruption. That's his contribution. Lecturing at least 5 days a week. Sometimes lecturing all 7 days. My lecturing platform hasn't been interrupted for 30 years. It's not that I lecture better than others. There's no such reasoning. There are many who are better than me, but no one is shameless. He didn't have the chance to practice. His talents were buried and unrecognized. You'd say, what a pity. Sharing the Dharma is all about destiny. I was in Taipei giving lectures. There were a few lay people from Hong Kong. One was a monk. And 2 were lay people. They met me in Taiwan and listened to my lectures. I remember it was when I was on the 4th lecture of the Samantabhadra's Vows and Practices. Lectured 8 days. After listening, they were very delighted. They invited me to Hong Kong, and that's how I established a connection with Hong Kong. There was a Mrs. Lay in Hong Kong who was very pleased with the teachings. She invited me every year. So that was in 1977. It was roughly about 10 years, from 1977 to 1987. Yes, it was about a decade or so. Every year, I would go to Hong Kong once or twice. The longest I stayed in Hong Kong was for months. The shortest was no less than a month. I went every year to give lectures. After Mrs. Wei passed away, no more invites. That connection was severed for an individual. Without someone to support the teachings we want to promote the Dharma, there's no opportunity. No one invites you. Can you imagine great the merit of a supporter is? Without a supporter, people don't have the opportunity to learn the Dharma. With such a supporter, inviting a Dharma teacher to give lectures allows people in that area to benefit from the teachings. Whose merit is it? It's the merit of the supporter. So I often say, the merit of the supporter far exceeds that of the Dharma teacher who spreads the teachings. Ah, 87. Gave talks in Hong Kong. 3 lay people from Singapore. After listening, they were very pleased and insisted on bringing me to Singapore to speak. All right then, I hadn't been to Singapore before, so I thought I'd come and have a bit of fun with you. That was first time to Singapore. When I arrived, I spent 10 days at Shuang Lin Monastery. I gave 1 lecture at the Lay Buddhist Association and gave 3 at Shuang Lin Monastery. At the Red Hair Group, I gave 2 lectures. Back then, the Red Hair Group was an old venue, not the new place built later. The place was very small. I gave several lectures at various places and formed connections with the students here. I got to know Li Muyuan, this layperson Li, who would invite me every year. By the 2nd year, he became the leader of the Red Hair Group. When the new group was established, he invited me, and I lectured on the Infinite Life Sutra for him. Later, when he came to work at the Lay Buddhist Forest, we also went there, and I would give talks every year. Without him, there wouldn't be anyone. Think about it. Who else would invite me to give talks? There was no one else. Then you realize that anywhere in the world where the teachings of Buddhism are spread and flourish, it's thanks to 1 or 2 people dedicated to Buddhism. They have truly performed meritorious deeds. It's like they are running a school here, being the principal, or opening a shop as the owner, and we are the staff, invited by them. Helping them with their work, right. So these protectors of the Dharma are like the bosses, the hosts, the leaders of education in this area. Boundless and immeasurable merits. So in ancient times, who did the work of protecting the Dharma? The abbot in the temple. The abbot was the leader of education in the area. The temple was like a school, and the abbot was the principal. The principal didn't have to teach or preach. They would invite Dharma teachers to come and explain the teachings. Just like a principal who doesn't have to teach classes, but manages the administration. He could hire good teachers. Help educate students. So the abbot is the mainstay. The responsibility of protecting the Dharma surpasses the responsibility of spreading it. Under him, the spreading of the Dharma is done, but his most important role is to protect it. Without his protection, Buddhism cannot endure in the world. So today, when we practice the names of the Bodhisattvas, we understand that the merits of protecting the Dharma are inconceivable. To learn Buddhism, seek wholeheartedly, especially the young monks, without strong support. How can they grow? How can they become outstanding monks who spread Buddhism through the ages? For monks, the most important training is on the lecture platform. To help him rise like the sun every day. This is to urge him. So many of us enjoy listening to the teachings, enjoy listening to you speak. So you have to speak every day. You have to speak every day. You can't sleep. You have to prepare well. Pushing you to achieve. If we keep giving lectures, no matter how well he learns, after 3 months, he will forget everything. After 6 months, he can't get on stage anymore. Only then will you understand the importance of Dharma protectors. Dharma protectors help the Dharma masters. They can keep longevity of true Dharma. So when the monastic Dharma masters have the chance to be abbots, in the future you must understand that an abbot should perform virtuous work. You need to know what kind of situations arise with emotional Dharma masters. With the Dharma masters who align with our core studies. Forests. Classmates, only then can the public gain true benefits. If the Dharma, masters, practices, and studies are different from our own Dharma path, based on different sutras and treatises, then we cannot. This is not due to any other reason. As the ancients often said, the clear waters of the Lingdong River do not move people's hearts. This place has already chosen the Pure Land path. Specialized practice, they have certain achievements. If I were to talk about Zen or fate here, it would cause disturbance to your peaceful mind, disturb your practice, disrupt your cultivation. This would be a fault. No merit, there's a fault. Not allowed. however, respect and offerings to the Dharma Master are definitely the same. This aspect. When I was young, with the elder layman Li Bingnan, during the holy years, I observed the elder. In Taichung, with great respect. When visiting, Dharma masters passed through Taichung. The elder would point out the pear trees with very courteous manners. He would go to the station to greet and bid farewell. He would personally lead everyone. Borrowing the venue. Nibblery. Sometimes hosting banquets, inviting them to meals. But he never invited the Dharma masters to give a talk. I observed this for a long time and found it strange. Why don't you invite them to give a talk? Of course, giving a full lecture isn't possible. Because there isn't enough time. They should at least give a short talk. He just smiled. He said, "You understand." I didn't. He explained this principle, this Dharma master practices and teaches. His theory is different from ours. We've worked hard for belief in Pure Land practice, to recite the Buddha's name and be reborn in Western paradise. If he mentions good esoteric practices, one can become Buddha in life. Our people's minds will be swayed immediately. They'll be led away by him right away, especially so. As the saying goes, the monk from afar can chant the scriptures better. When you're together every day, you don't value your own enterprise. A well-meaning outsider comes along, and in just a few key points, they can lead you away. We lack determination and understanding. We don't discern. Hearing that's great, good, our hearts are swayed. As a result, we suffer the loss ourselves, which is why Teacher Li needs to protect the Dharma, protect this place in the community, maintain correct political views, protect the purity of the community's mind. Therefore, we must not invite people to give talks lightly. Who gives talks? It's the Dharma masters who practice Pure Land. Teachers who recite the Buddha's name. Well, Dharma masters, when they come to Taichung, we must invite them to give talks. If they are not studying the same Dharma texts as us, relying on the same 3 Pure Land sutras, we must not be unclear about this. This is not about making distinctions. In these areas, we all need to learn. They are experts, truly wise, who reprimand the community's political and legal matters. The cotton washer, he truly achieved it. This principle we must understand. Therefore, hosting a place of practice, that is the wilderness of the beings in these places of practice. When you take the lead, you're the guide, and these people behind you will follow your path. If you go wrong, all these people will also go wrong, and you must take responsibility. So your path must be correct, without mistakes, and you must guard against others causing distractions. Our place of practice. There are indeed quite a few who have true faith and aspiration. But is this belief firm? Not necessarily. Maybe you meet a few people who sweet talk you and your heart wavers, and you follow them. Today, I discussed this matter with the Liyuan Bureau. Liyuan used a metaphor, saying those people are like fishermen, afraid that all our fish will be caught and taken away. This metaphor is quite meaningful. Our place of practice is like a series of fish ponds. I renovate it just like little fish. Those who come to fish, the person protecting needs to be cautious. It's essential to clearly understand. So I want you students to have a concept. We respect. Continuously being together, practicing together, united in heart and mind. This Dharma gate, we hope to be reborn in the Pure Land together in the future. The Lotus Pond will still have everyone together. Our faith and aspirations must not waver. Our manpower, financial resources, all our strength must be focused on the residence. The residence has an old practice site with over 60 years of history. The Pearwood Park is recognized today by everyone. It's not my praise, but a bodhisattva returning, not an ordinary person, not a single trace of anything. Clearly, the 5 desires, 6 senses are all let go. Every thought and action is for the Dharma and all sentient beings. Such a leader, such a virtuous teacher. I have traveled to many countries and regions. I have seen many sights, never seen one like this. So when he came to find me, I couldn't not come. It's like a good boss in a business deal. There is righteousness. Skipping would let him down. If he had selfish motives or ulterior motives, I definitely wouldn't come. Purely for the Dharma, for all sentient beings, for social stability. For praying for world peace. Such a great, pure voice. If we don't do our utmost to help him, we would be letting him down. And also letting down this practice site and the general public. So he is a leader. Especially in the past 3 years organizing training class. He sought me out. He made this vow. So I must come. Put aside all other Dharma propagation work at other places. Everything is on hold, fully committed to helping young monks here. This is my duty to fulfill. But it all requires having this principle. It requires having this boss. We are here to be assistants and instructors. I'm Beijing. Buddhism must have successors. Then Buddhism has a future. People have blessings. At my age, I need to pass the baton. The work of spreading the Dharma and benefiting others should be handed over to the young monks. If they can take over, then I can retire. Where will I retire to? Of course, you know, it's to the land of ultimate bliss to retire. After work here, it's half done, avoiding future existence. So today, in our later years, the only thing we focus on is teaching, and writing books. To support the successors. This is us. This is the final and also the greatest task, to fully realize the meaning of the words worthy protector, truly implement it. The meaning of the names of the worthy Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. It's very deep and broad. I've briefly mentioned this point. Next Saturday, we'll continue. It's not finished yet. Why? Because it's very important. We need to learn how to learn. How do we do it from their names? Learn from the worthy ones and take the responsibility upon ourselves. Then we ourselves become the policy of worthy protection. All right, time's up for today. We'll stop here.